Well, hello there. Good evening. Hi. It's Lady Victoria this evening on a Saturday evening. Lady Victoria with Victoria School of Etiquette, where we offer, yes, a solution. Even in 2021, we still offer a solution to your etiquette dilemmas. I am your etiquette educator, worthy life coach. I'm broadcasting to you live from the great windy city of Chicago. Chi-Town is what we like to call it. We are the best in the Midwest. And I'm very happy to have you be a part of our broadcast on this evening. It's Studio Saturdays, and it is a little bit later than we normally are on. But I tell you, it has been a happy new year, and it has been an adventurous week so far for me. So I'm glad to have you here. Please don't be shy about sharing your comments in the chat section below, whether you're watching me live on my Facebook fan page, on my personal page, whether you are on YouTube or whether you are on Periscope. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Tag a neighbor, tag a friend, and you all come on in. We're going to have some fun this evening. I think it'll be fun. It'll be an interesting topic to discuss. We are talking about wine on this evening. And as we have been celebrating the holidays, I am sure that some of you have had a glass of wine with your Christmas dinner or toasting in the new year, whether it was wine, whether it was sparkling cider, whether you were celebrating with champagne. All of these drinks get celebrated or get drank rather at various celebrations, weddings and the like. And we're going to talk about them a little bit on this evening. I do have some wine that I would like to show you and share with you. We'll get to that part a little bit later. But I just thought that this would be a little educational thing for those that do drink wine and perhaps for those that don't. I'm always interested in how things came about, and I like details about certain things. So I want to talk about wine. So we're going to talk about various sizes, dinner wines, dessert wines, and again, of course, like I said in the introduction, the various bottles that they come in, and sometimes why do they come in those various bottles. When it comes to sizing the bottles, we do not use the American system of mathematics. So they don't come in gallons, they don't come in pints and all of that. Not wine, but we use the European method of sizing the bottle. So it'll be milliliters, it'll be liters, it'll be a half size, half liter, the standard. So we want to talk about those. I want to talk about those first. And I apologize, there is one size that I do not have, but we will talk about this again. We will extend this. And the next time, I promise you that I will have the other size. Some of them I could not acquire because I'll tell you about that later. Why not? But whether you are drinking a dinner wine, whether you're drinking a dessert wine, right? Whether you are having a white wine, a red wine, it really doesn't matter as long as you choose the right wine that is appropriate with the meal that you are having or the dessert that you are having. That makes the difference because the wine should enhance and complement the food that you are partaking of. Some of you might know that Cooper's Hawk is one of my favorite restaurants that I go to. When you go to Cooper's Hawk, you don't have to fuss and figure out what type of wine should go with the meal that you're having. Everything on their menu is already paired with a wine. And you know that if you've dined at Cooper's Hawk, whether you partake of wine or not, it's already paired with a wine. So you don't have to choose the one that it's paired with. But when you talk with your waiter, when you talk with your sommelier or sommelier, that is a French word for a person who is a wine expert. When you chat with them, they will let you know what is appropriate and what is going to be the most complementary to the meal that you are partaking of. So let's go and let's talk about our wine bottles, the wine bottles. Now, typically, when you go out to dine or when you go out, put the glasses away. When you go out to purchase a bottle of wine, you typically see like one standard size wine all of the time. And let me see if I can show you. I have several bottles here, but this would be like a typical size wine bottle that you would typically see. I'm going to turn it around and you'll see there on the back of it, it'll tell you what size it is. 700, let me point it out. It is 750 milliliters right there. if you can see it. 700, see right down there? 750 milliliters. It is right about there. And it tells you that's the size of this bottle of wine. This is the most popular size bottle that you will see. And this one is this shape. And as you can see, this wine is Prosecco, which is like a sparkling white wine. This is the standard size bottle that you will see when you are buying wine and when you are served wine. Here's another bottle. It's a different size. You think? You think it's a different size? Or do you think it's the same? This is also a 750 milliliter size bottle of wine, but it is a different wine. You can see on the back here what type of wine it is. The first one I showed you was a white wine. This is also a white wine that is referred to as a Riesling. 750 milliliters. A 750 milliliter bottle of wine is a standard one, and you can get about 5 glasses of wine out of that size. Here's another one. Same size. This one is also 750 milliliters, and it looks different, very different, right, from the first two. This is a red wine. This is a red wine with a touch of chocolate because it is a Vin chocolate wine. Noir. Vin chocolate noir wine. 750 milliliters, a different size than the second one I showed you, this one, and a different size from the first one I showed you, this one. But it oftentimes matters what type of wine is being bottled, and that's how they oftentimes choose the bottle and the size, because of what type of wine that is being housed in that bottle. That's your standard size. You're going to get about 5 glasses of wine out of that. So if you're with a company of 10 or 12 people, you're probably going to need 2 or 3 of that size. If you're staying with that size, 2 or 3 bottles of that one so that everyone can have their fair share. Now, this one is a half liter, this size here, and it's longer and taller, but this one is a half liter, 375, as opposed to the liter, which is the standard 750. This one is 375. This one is a dessert wine. This one was gifted to me, and I can't wait to try this out because I've been told that it is an excellent wine, that it pairs well with almost any dessert, and it's also a great complement to cheeses. So if you're a wine drinker and you're learning, as I am, about various wines, this should be good. So I trust the person that gifted it to me. So you have all of those different sizes. Let's go back to that 750 because there's another one that I'd like to show you and share with you. This also is a 750 size, liter, standard size, milliliter. I keep saying liter, milliliter, I'm sorry. 5 bottles of wine out of it. And this one is a cranberry wine. It's a cranberry wine. Now, we know that most wines are made out of grapes, right? With red grapes, the dark grapes, the white grapes, those are used to make wines. But recently, winemakers have been venturing into new territories, and they've been using various fruits to make wine out of. Hence, we have this cranberry one, which I understand is real cranberries, made with real cranberries, a little bit tart, but I'm also understanding, being told that it is very full-bodied and that it's very good. Not too sweet. It's not the same as a dessert wine. It's a fruit wine, and it's not the same as a dessert wine, something new that they have been venturing into. I thought I also had a 1 liter size. A 1 liter size bottle of wine holds about 1 1/3 the amount of the standard bottles, which means to say that you can get about 7 glasses of wine out of that one. What's a good start? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the chat. Are you trying to say, Shar, it looks smaller? Which one were you referring to? The cranberry one or the dessert wine? This is the dessert wine, and yes, it does look smaller. This is a half a milliliter. This is only 375 milliliters, as opposed to this one, which is a 750. This is 750, and the other two that I showed you, the Riesling, is also 750, but it's just a bottle shape. It's just a bottle shape. And what's a good starter wine? Well, what are you starting to eat with? What are you starting to eat? What are you pairing your wine with? Are you pairing it with a dessert? Are you pairing it with a meal? If you're pairing it with a meal, we judge the wine, we choose the wine by the meat that's being served with a meal. So white meat, white wine. Red meat, red wine. Rosés and sparklings, those are of a different nature. You could have a sparkling white. You could even have a rosé, depending upon what you have. So if you're having pork, or you're having chicken, or you're having turkey, or you're having duck, that would be a white wine. Okay? And it also depends upon your taste. Your taste buds. Are you looking for something that's full-bodied? Are you looking for something that's more fruity? Even if it's a general wine, you can have wines that have those elements in them. Now, the red wine that I showed you also has a bit of chocolate in it. So that's going to make a difference when you're eating your meal, your main entree. It's going to make a difference because, again, the wine and the entree should kind of be married together to each other. They should complement each other. So you wouldn't want something, you're having something that's very, very light, and then you want like a wine that's like a brut, that's usually stronger. I'm trying to think of like Corbel. Corbel comes as a brut wine. So perhaps you wouldn't want something like that if you're having something that's very light. If you're having like chicken and rice and you're just having vegetables. So I hope that I was able to answer your question, what's a good starter wine? It depends on what you're dining, what you're eating. Along with that, it's going to complement. If you're just sitting around with your girlfriends, as I did over the weekend, and you're just having cheese, crackers, and nuts, you're probably going to want something light, probably something fruity, something that's going to go down, maybe not too sweet. Some wines are very sweet. The white wines can be very sweet. The dessert wines can also be very sweet. So you can ask, and you can always email me. You can always email me. My email should be somewhere on this screen. It should be somewhere in the introduction, but it's VSETC16. If you have further questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. But okay, where was I talking about the various sizes? So we went all the way up to the liter, which pours 7 glasses of wine. And then you have the Magnum. The jars get bigger and bigger. The wine bottles get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the larger they go, the names of them change. And I found that very interesting. When you get to the Magnum, which is 1.5 liters, which means that it holds 2 standard size bottles, or you get 10 glasses of wine out of a Magnum. Then when we go up to the even larger size, the double Magnum, right? So if you're getting 10 out of the Magnum or the 1.5 liter, on this one it's a 3 liter. So of course you're going to get 20 glasses of wine out of it. But as these wine bottles get larger, the names of them is named after biblical kings. I found that to be very, very interesting, that they are named after kings. Jeroboam is a name for the double Magnum, where you will get 20 glasses of wine. It's a 3 liter size. Rehoboam is a 4.5 size liter, which means it holds 6 standard bottles, the amount of wine, and it serves up to 30 glasses of wine. It's named after King Rehoboam. Methuselah, or the Imperial Bordeaux, that is a 6 liter. It holds 8 standard bottles, and you get 40 glasses of wine. out of one that large. Salmanasar is a 9-liter. That is also a king in the Bible. He was an Assyrian king. This oversized format houses a full case of wine in a single bottle. That's huge. A full case of wine is this Salmanasar, a 9-liter. Balthazar was one of the three wise men that came to see the Christ child. This is a 12-liter. It holds 16 standard bottles, right? You get 80 glasses of wine out of that size. I don't have any of those sizes, guys. Those go up in price. So, yes. Nebuchadnezzar is a 15-liter bottle, holds 20 standard bottles, and you get 100 glasses of wine. So anything from a small dinner party to a large group, there is typically a large enough bottle of wine to serve your needs and accommodate your guests. Melchior, okay? That's an 18-liter, holds 24 standard bottles, and you get 120 glasses of wine out of that size. And then, of course, the infamous King Solomon is a 20-liter bottle. You get 130 glasses of wine out of that. The Sovereign is a 26-liter, 35 standard bottles, or 175 glasses of wine, okay? The Primat or the Goliath, 27 liters, 36 standard bottles, or 180 glasses of wine. Can you imagine a wine bottle that large? I wonder how many people does it take to pour from a glass of that magnitude, a bottle of that magnitude, 180 glasses of wine. But I would also imagine that in a case like that, they would not be pouring directly from the wine bottle itself. I would imagine that they would then have the bottle poured into a huge wine decanter, and it would be served to the guests that way. It's more appealing, and I'm sure much less struggle to enter into the room and try and pour from a bottle of wine of that size. The last one, ladies and gentlemen, is the Melchizedek or the Midas. A 30-liter size bottle holds 40 standard bottles or 200 glasses of wine. So if you're having a small dinner party and you want to serve, you're having a small dinner party, say you have 50 guests, you can easily get the Melchizedek, which is a 30-liter size. You have 50 guests. It serves 200. You would have more than enough to service all of your guests, and everyone, of course, wanting more than one glass of wine. Now, a little bit of history on Melchizedek. Melchizedek and or Melchizedek or Midas, either one of them. These two historical kings, Melchizedek and Midas, battle it out for bragging rights on whose name is best suited for the largest wine bottle on earth. It doesn't get any larger than this. So you're truly in the big leagues if you can afford a Melchizedek or Midas sized bottle of wine. 30 liters serving 200 glasses of wine. So very interesting. I thought that they were named after kings, and I have to give credit to the wine enthusiasts, where I'm getting a lot of my information from on this evening. But we briefly talked about the dinner wine. A dinner wine, again, it can be a white wine, it can be a red wine, it can also be a sparkling wine. Wine and champagne are two different categories, and I'll talk about champagne at a different time. I brought one small wine glass. This is kind of a standard wine glass. And if you know anything about wine glasses, the glass makes a difference too. And you should have a glass that matches the type of wine that you are having. This would be just a standard small wine glass. This one has a stem and a base. And then you have the wine glasses that are stemless, no base, You just hold them on the bottom, right? That's the only way you can hold that type. But with the stemmed glass, there can be two ways that you would hold a stemmed glass, such as this one. This one has a stem, so you never hold a wine glass by its base. You always hold it by a stem if it has one, depending upon the wine that you have. If you have white wine in a bottle, if you have white wine in a glass, such as this, a stemmed glass, you want to hold white wine by the stem, not under the bottom, as you sometimes see that people hold their glasses like this. If it's a white wine, you always want to hold it by the stem because your body temperature affects the properties in the wine, and they change with a white wine. When you hold it underneath like this, the warmth, the heat, your natural body heat from your hand is going to heat up the glass and warm up the wine. White wine, you don't want it to be warmed up because it changes the properties and changes the taste of the wine. White wine tastes better chilled. Red wine, in a red wine glass, the globe of the glass is different. And I'll have that on my next talk about wines, the differences in the type of wine glasses that you have. This is more so for white wine. The red wine is bigger. The body of it is bigger. Red wine can also have a stem, but they can also not have a stem. They can be stemless. So you can use your stemless glasses for, you can hold red wine like this because your body heat warms up the red wine, and it also changes the flavor and the temperature and all of that. And that's fine in a red wine, but not so much so in a white wine, and not so much so in a sparkling wine, which the Prosecco that I showed you, this is a sparkling wine. See it there? We'll say a sparkling wine right there on the bottom. Very interesting. Hi, Janice. Yes, it's an education. I absolutely love it. Let me show you all my big one. This was the big one that I was saving for last. This is what size? What size do you think it is? Who wants to take a guess at what size this bottle is? This is the 750 for Prosecco, remember? I showed you. You love Prosecco. I do too, Catherine. I love it. It flows so easy down. It tastes great. I love it chilled. But the one I just showed you, right, the Prosecco, that's this one of my faves. This is 375 liters. So this is 750. This one is a 750. And this is the standard size. This is a standard size bottle of wine that we most often see. This one is double that. This is a 1.5 liter. This size is 1.5 liter. Okay. And let me see, I can show you way down here on the back, on the bottom. It tells you the size. See, it's 1.5 liters. So this size is double that one. And it, the 1.5, the 1.5, the 15 liters. Standard, Magnum, that's 1.5. Yes, 10 glasses of wine. 10 glasses of wine for this. This is 2 of the 750. So you're going to get 10 glasses of wine out of that size. Okay. The little smallest one, that's the one that I didn't have a wine glass for. The little bitty single size serving of wine, and most of you have seen that. You've seen the little single size serving. You just pour it, and the whole bottle's empty. That is that's the first one. It's called a split or a Piccolo. It's 187.5 milliliters, and it holds just a quarter of the standard size bottle. Typically, uno glass of wine, just one. So that's when you're watching a movie by yourself and you say you only want one glass, you buy that small bottle And that's what you're going to get. Just the one glass of wine. Now, this one that I showed earlier, this is also a 750. This is a standard size. This is a red wine. The bottle itself looks very dark, right? It looks very dark, but it also has chocolate added to it. Red wine with chocolate added to it. I can't wait to try that one and see what it's like. So I had someone ask me the other day, and said, well, we're having chicken. We have a white wine, we have a sparkling wine, and then they had a white wine, a rosé, and they had a red wine. And they were asking which wine should they use. They had sparkling, rosé, white. And I said, well, if you're having white meat, white wine. When everyone sat down to the table, two people had the white wine, one person had the rosé, and another person had red. So when you're at home in the privacy of your own home, you can, yes, Catherine, chocolate. Oh, you don't like chocolate? That's a sad face emoji. Oh, you don't like chocolate? You also love white Portugal wine. I haven't tried that. Yes, I haven't tried that. But that would be something for me to add to my ever-growing collection of wines. But in the confines of your own home, you can have whatsoever wine you like. And even when you go out, you could order a red wine to go with your white meat. It would just be considered, especially by the sommelier, he or she would consider that out of order. That's what the sommelier is there for, to help you choose the best wine that's paired with your food. And usually our meats make the choice of type of wine. I love it. It's like emoji. Okay. Okay, good. Chocolate, yes. I love chocolate, period. I always have some chocolate. There's always some chocolate near wherever I am. There's chocolate somewhere nearby because I love chocolate. So I think the wine would be good. But like I said, this was just an introduction, and I wanted to share that. And again, in the confines of your own home, you can drink wine out of whatever you want. You can drink whatever type of wine you want with whatever it is that you are leading. Look closer, emoji saying, I want to try it. Oh, okay. That's what it's saying. Okay. I thought it was a sad face. Okay, but I do see the difference. So sounds great. So yes, when I come back on, you have to come on so we can talk about it. When I come back on after I've tried it, we'll have to talk about that. But in public, you want to exhibit good dining behaviors and good dining manners. So try it. Those wines are paired with those foods or those fruits or even nuts for a reason. Again, I said in the beginning, they should be married to each other. They should complement each other, which brings me back to this wine that I showed you, cranberry wine. Have you ever tried it? Has anyone ever tried it? I've not tried this one, although I chose this one for myself, but I've not tried it. But berries have become an extension for winemakers. They're not just using grapes to make wine anymore. There's apple wine. I've heard of peach and mango. And for me, I'm thinking those might just be a little too fruity for me. This is a fruit wine, right? They have apple, they have blueberry, they have blackberry, elderberry. I've seen peach, I've seen mango, all different types of maybe strawberry. And I've not tried any of them. No, me either, Catherine. I've not tried any of them either, but I'm interested to try them. So I will, on another one of my wine broadcasts, I will have tried one by the time I do another wine broadcast. This is probably going to end up being a series because there's so much to learn about wines, and I've not even scratched the surface of all of the different types of wines that there are, all of the different varieties of wine. It matters where the grapes are grown and the soil that it's planted in. So whether you're in the Napa Valley or whether the wine has come from straight from Italy, all of that makes a difference. And aging, of course, makes a difference in the taste of a wine. So when you have this large bodied wine like these, and the ones, of course, they go up. The ones I talked about earlier, they go up and up and up. In their names, the larger they get, past the Magnum, the ones that are named after the kings, right? The Jeroboam, the Rehoboam, those wines, Methuselah or the Imperial, the Salamanzar, all of those wines. The longer they stay in that bottle, the more they age, the better they taste. Right. And we know, of course, nowadays, you hope that I will enjoy. I hope so too, Catherine. I hope that you're here so that I can share, so that I can share my experience and let you know. Who is this? Plagisto? Am I saying your name right? Plagisto? Plagisto. Hello. You are on Periscope. Thank you for watching me on Periscope. But yes, the aging of the wine and all of that. But when you're out in public, again, you do want to take the advice. If you are at a restaurant and they have a wine expert there, and you aren't as educated as you think that you might be, take advantage. That's what they're there for. Yes, take advantage. That's what they're there for, to ask them the questions. You can let them know what type of wine that you would like. You can also let them know privately your wine budget for dining that evening. You really want to spend $150 for one bottle of wine? If you're spending $150 for one bottle of wine or one glass of wine, take their advice. Know what you're getting into before you go there. If it's a brand new restaurant, if you've never dined there before, research it before you go. Research it before you go so that you are equipped with the information. You could also call ahead and say, hey, I'm coming in. I have a reservation tonight. We're a party of 5. Our wine budget is $500. Our wine budget is $300. And it's also going to depend on what type of restaurant you're going to. Where you're going to dine. Are you going to a 3-star restaurant or a 5-star restaurant? A 2-star restaurant will not probably have the same quality of wines as will a 5-star restaurant. A restaurant that has a Michelin rating definitely is going to be top class. It's going to be top class. Take something to get a Michelin rating. And Michelin, they're the same people that make tires, but their highest rating is 3 Forks. 3 Forks rating is different from what we would call a 5-star restaurant. We give it stars, but the Michelin, they use forks. So 3 Forks is their highest rating. If you're going to a Michelin rated restaurant, it is going to be quite the experience. And you want to be on all of your best behaviors. Thank you, Catherine. You want to be on all of your best behaviors. That goes from your dining manners, how you're sitting at the table, how you're consuming your meal. Do you know the tips and signals to give to the wait staff and to the runners to let them know whether or not you're done dining, whether you enjoyed the meal, whether you did not like the meal? Where do you place your napkin? Where do you place your silverware when you're getting up to go to the restaurant or to take an urgent phone call because you're out dining and your phone is only on vibrate for emergencies? And you get that vibration and you look down and yes, it's someone important. So when you leave the table, what tip and signal are you leaving for the wait staff so that they know you're not done, but that you're coming back? All of those are part of dining manners. How you place your silverware lets them know. There's a position you place it in to let them know that you are finished. There's another position that you place it in to let them know that you are returning. And your napkin as well. Where you place your napkin when you are done is on the left side, folded away with all of the soiled portions of your napkin folded away so that the table still looks aesthetically pleasing. Even though your plate, you may have left some things on your plate. Maybe you did not finish your entire meal. And that's another post as well. Should you consume all of your food? Should you consume all of your wine when you're there? Or do you ask for a doggy bag? You ask for a to-go plate. A to-go plate is not the same as your leftovers. A to-go plate is a fresh plate with perhaps the same food, or it could be different food, but it's not the same as your leftovers. Your doggy bag is your leftovers. Your to-go plate is a fresh plate. Y'all are getting this for free because this doesn't have anything to do with wine, but it does have to do with dining, and they all tie in together. I tell my clients all of the time that your manners go wherever you go. When you enter the room, you and your manners enter the room. The manners you practice at home are the ones that will show up in public. So what I say to you, when you're at home and you're dining alone, or you're just dining with James Brown, Black people don't tip. Help them with that. Oh my Lord. Now, I did a show on tipping a long time ago, but I'm always ready to do that again. But let me finish this. Yes, your to-go plate, fresh plate of food, your doggy bag separately. Okay. Sometimes they will bring you the carry-out containers for you to plate up, fix up your own food, your leftovers. And sometimes they will take your plate away. Again, it depends upon the restaurant, the establishment that you are dining at. As far as tipping goes, James, don't just blame it on all of us. There are other people that don't tip as well, or that don't tip well. Again, now the dining establishment that you're going to is going to make a difference. I need to go. Thank you for your advice. That was very interesting. Oh, Catherine, sure. It was very interesting having you on the show, having you interact with the live. So I'll catch you the next time, Catherine. Have a great rest of your weekend and Happy New Year to you. But James, yes, tipping. The standard that we've grown up with, depending upon your age, if you grew up with that tipping up 10 to 15%, that's practically over in society today. Most people don't tip 10 to 15%, and especially if you are in an elegant dining establishment, if you're in a Michelin-rated establishment, no, you will not be tipping 10 or 15%. In the higher dining establishments, your tip is already most times included already. You can tip on top of that if you like, but it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 28%. 20 to 28% is the acceptable norm in dining society today. And of course, depending upon where you are dining. If you're dining in a fine establishment, a place where you, of course, have to have on shoes, no jeans are allowed. Men need to wear at least a jacket. Ladies need to come dressed appropriately. Not everything showing, not everything hanging out. There's oftentimes a dress code when you go to the finer dining establishments. So you want to adhere to that. The service that you're going to receive is going to be equivalent to the name and character of the place that you're dining in. And accordingly, James. And again, if you have further questions, 16 is where you can send your questions, and I'll be very happy to chat with you personally. Or you can DM me on my page, or you can message me on my Facebook page. Either or. But that's the standard protocol for tipping today, anywhere from 20 to 28%. Again, is going to be equivalent to the dining establishment that you are at. And even when you receive poor service, do you think you should tip? Someone chime in the chat. If you go to a fine dining establishment, or any dining establishment, even if you're just going to IHOP for breakfast and you receive poor service, should you tip the waiter or the waitress anyway? They forgot to bring you your extra stack of pancakes. They didn't bring you your baked potato, or they brought it and it was cold, or they had an attitude. they served you from the wrong side, serve on the left, clean up on the right. When you're being served, you served on the left and they clean up on the right. If you receive poor service, should you tip them anyway? My answer as an etiquette educator is yes. You should tip them anyway, even if they offered poor service. First of all, it shows that you are courteous, that you are mindful, that you are kind, even though they may have been unkind to you. You tip them anyway. And so many wait staff, they live off of their tips. Oftentimes they're getting paid below minimum wage, but they actually live off of their tips. And so, yes, you should tip them anyway. And if you have a complaint, you can ask them politely to correct it. And if not, you can also ask for their manager. You can also ask for their manager and lodge a complaint there. What if you were not pleased with the food? What if your food wasn't prepared to your liking? Request to see the chef. You can request to see the chef. A good chef will come out and hear your complaint and address you. You Turkish? Oh, you're Turkish. Oh, well, hello. Thank you for joining us on this evening. But your complaints should be lodged with management. Never get into a disagreement with your wait staff. Always be pleasant and courteous, even if they are not. You never stoop to their level. You want to bring them up to your level. You don't stoop. You don't go beneath your character or theirs. You bring them up to where you are, and you handle it that way. They have a supervisor. They have a manager. There's the restaurant owner. There's the chef. And when you're asking for the chef, make sure that you ask for the chef that's actually prepared whatever it is that you were displeased with. You don't want to see the pastry chef if your steak wasn't cooked to your liking, prepared to your liking. There are different types of chefs in the kitchen, and they're all in charge of different things. So make sure you're asking for the correct chef, okay? And that's pretty much global, no matter where you live on this planet. The basic tenets of etiquette is to be kind, to be courteous, to make other people feel comfortable around you. To make other people feel comfortable around you. So even if it is them that's all uncomfortable, you still want them to be comfortable around you. And if you're the one that's out of sorts, then quickly regroup yourself and realize that you're in a public setting, and you only get one time to make a good impression. Whether you never see those people again, they will always remember when you were out of order. But they will remember even better if you were, right? So does anyone have any questions that you'd like for me to address? I didn't have my timer on, so I'm not sure how long I have been on. Oh, I've been on for a little while. I've been on for almost an hour, but that's okay. That's okay. And I know things that are done differently in different countries. You also need to be aware of that. Muro, am I pronouncing your name correctly? You said you are Turkish. So I imagine that things are done differently on your side of the globe than they are here in the United States. And even in the United States, regions may handle things differently. Different types of food may be served in some regions that are not served in others. Even different types of wine may be served differently in some regions, okay? So you always want to be mindful of all of those things. I remember years ago when I was in Europe and we went down for breakfast from our hotel room, my husband and I at the time. We went down for breakfast. The coffee there was very different from the coffee here in America. The water was very different from the water here in America. The salads were prepared differently than the salads here in America. So culture and location makes a difference as well. So when you're traveling, it doesn't always have to be international. You could just be traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast. You could be traveling to the South, right? To Florida, to Mississippi, Kentucky, as opposed to being up north. How they prepare their food may be differently, and it is entirely okay for that area and that region because that's how they've been doing it all the time. You're the one that's new, and you're the one that's having to make an adjustment. Seasonings, spices, preparation, all of that. Baked versus fried, pan fried, there are all kinds of things. All of these things tie into dining etiquette, and your manners makes a difference. Your manners make the difference. If you're dining in an establishment and you don't like something, after you put it in your mouth, don't spit it out. You don't spit it out. You take your spoon or your fork, insert it into your mouth if you've already removed it, with the piece of food that's unfavorable to your palate. You put it on your spoon or your fork. You turn it over on your plate at the top half of your plate to the right, and you leave it there. You don't mix it in with your other food. You don't need to spit it into a napkin, especially a cloth one. Food has oil and various seasonings and spices in it. So when they come and they clean up, oftentimes the napkin is containing the residue that you left behind in the food that you spit out. Okay? So we never want to spit into a napkin, even a paper one. You just put it to the side of your plate. You kind of hide it under something else on your plate. So maybe you can, hide it under the mashed potatoes and you skirt that part away. And you're not going to eat those mashed potatoes up to the top right of your plate because it has a piece of something in it that you're hiding. And so you don't want your plate to look uncivilized to your dining companions. You don't want a bunch of bones and things that you didn't like about your food. You don't want all of that. I don't know. I don't know if I want to hear a joke or not. It's going to depend on what the joke is. But since it's my show, I'm going to say probably not. Thank you. Is it in good taste? Is it colorful? If it's colorful, then no, I do not want to hear it. If it's in good taste, maybe. So back to your food and your plate looking unappetizing to your dining companions. Aesthetics, how it looks to the natural eye. You don't know if some people get sick looking at a plate full of food that someone has played with and, disposed of all of their dislikes into their plate. There's a polite way to do it. There's a proper way to do it. So these are all the extra things we're getting on this wine class. I said, come wine with me. Come wine with me. So this is our discussion on this evening. And I'm so glad that so many of you have joined from your various places around the globe. Hey, La Flower. Yes, very true. I guess you're referring to region or you're referring to a messy plate on the table. It looks unappetizing to those that you might be dining with. And you never know if that's going to turn someone's stomach or the such. So these behavioral manners that we have when we are out and about, they make a difference. Oftentimes we don't think about our manners until we're in a position to use them. But we use our manners all the time. We use our manners all the time. We think that we only use our manners when we go out in public. No, you use your manners when you are, yes, messy plates. I know, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't even have to mess your plate. If your food, again, is not pleasing to your palate, refer to your wait staff and ask them to remove your plate. If you ordered something that you've never had before for the first time and you're trying it and you just find out this is not tasty, you can send it back and ask for something else. I've done that before. I remember one time in particular, this was many years ago, I was out dining with a friend of mine and it was a new place neither one of us had been to before, and I asked for a recommendation on the soup. And the waiter was telling me about this soup. I forget what it had in it, but it was green, but it definitely was not broccoli. It was not broccoli soup. It was something else. And it had another ingredient in it that I was unfamiliar with. I thought that I would try it. And after about 3 spoons of the soup, I did not want to have to excuse myself to the restroom. So I discontinued the soup. I got the waiter's attention, not by yelling or flicking my napkin. Don't flick your napkin to get the waiter's attention. You wait because they're going to come by to check on you. So you just wait. And I said, this sounded really good, but it actually is not agreeing with me. May I have else, please? May I order? Sure, ma'am. No problem. Immediately took the soup away, asked me what else did I want in its place. And that was done and over with. I didn't have to go into soup theatrics, soup theatrics over something that was displeasing to my palate. You always make your request known. You get because you ask, or you don't because you don't ask. So ask. So anyway, again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been very pleasant, and I hope that we all have learned something. I think, like I said, I might make this wine thing a bit of a series because there's so much to learn. There's so much to know. I can never, ever contain it all in the broadcast that I would do, the one I'm doing now and the ones that I would do in the future. I think it takes a lifetime to get to know the various wines and the complements that they have and how they're paired with certain foods and where they're grown and the grapes and all of those things make a huge difference. How they're stored, how they're aged. Are they, stored and aged in barrels, wood ones, or are they stored and are they aged differently? There's different processes to the aging process. Anyway, I sound like a preacher because I think I said I was wrapping up at least 3 times, but now I really am. So again, thank you all so much for being a part of our broadcast on this evening. Please like and share across your various social media platforms. To those of you that will watch me live, thank you so much. For those of you that will catch the replay later, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join Lady Victoria on our studio Saturdays. We normally come on in the afternoon around 3 o'clock or around 7. But it's been an adventurous weekend, so there's a lot going on. But thank you for hanging in there with me. You all have a blessed evening, and until the next time, this is Lady Victoria signing off for now. We'll chat again. Bye for now. Please be kind and rewind if you came in the middle or towards the end. Thank you so much.